It's another episode of the Blathering Live. I'm Cat Napzok. You might be watching on YouTube. You might be hanging out on Facebook. You might be watching on Twitch. And you might be listening, and I hope you're listening later on the podcast feed, the Napzok Network podcast feed that's been around since 2012 under many names and identities. It's like a spy, but we caught it. So it's a bad spy. This is a live show. We got comments. We got questions. Eventually soon, as I will announce shortly, I'm going to work in phone calls. That's right, phone calls. And how will that go? I've done that before. I've also done it in radio. A little thing called radio. I said that like a snob, but I love all forms of new media. But I do miss the days where I'd be sitting there playing a great rock tune from, say, the Black Crowes. Better When You're Not Alone, underrated tune from them. It's exploding out of the theaters, speakers into your home theaters. And then the phone would ring. And our radio station, KBR 95, we had one of those old phones, you know, the ones that you see in movies that are now period pieces that take place in 1992. And it would ring, and it was connected into a recording device that would dump into a cart. And you'd have to press the cart machine, and then you would record the phone call. KBR 95, what do you want? They'd be like, oh, can you play some Led Zeppelin? Yeah, where you calling from? Grover Beach. What are you doing? Working at a grocery store. Yeah, do you want to say hi to anybody? Lenny. I want to say hi to Lenny and Steve and Mirabelle. They're working with me on the night shift. Great. All right. Where do you get your rock from? KBR 95. All right. And then you put that on air. We're going to do that here. Except for you're not going to recall and request Led Zeppelin. We got questions already coming in. Great one from Arrested Brave. Ken Plume is here, watching on YouTube. Hit that like button, folks. Hit it. Yes, hit it. YouTube on the go. Troy's got who's the channel member. YouTube on the go, but Twitch for the dough. Yeah, I'm on Twitch for these. I don't think I'll ever game on Twitch again. At least not. I might game a little bit here on YouTube every now and then. I still want to finish Red Dead Redemption 2, the replay. But this is where we're at. And I'm going to explain something here. Troy says he's definitely going to call in for Led Zeppelin. Trey T is here, who's also a Patreon supporter. Eric Monroe. Eric, you know, I just want to, Eric Monroe checking in. I want to highlight something here. Eric's been tweeting me and Alden and Casterly Talk about some of the upcoming House of the Dragon Season 2 news, all that good stuff. I've been bad on social media lately, Eric. I haven't acknowledged it, but I'm excited. And Casterly Talk hangs on. It's like, if it's like on a lifeline, it's like, beep, beep. I just got to make sure I'm concentrating on all the things that work for me. Kingsport Cal is here. Rare evening sighting of Kingsport Cal. All right, we got the question here. Lauren Romo, the Galactic Podcast, is here. Romo, Brian Teller, and I played some great rounds of Fortnite last night, but we didn't win, and my winning percentage since I started playing with the Lady Gaga skin, which sounds creepy when you take it out of context, but my winning percentage is like 80% for matches. I've been crowning it up with Gaga. Again, when you take things out of context, it doesn't sound good, or does it? But we didn't win, and my percentage was lowered. Kingsport Cow says he's in rare. Fine. Dogecoin is up. It's been climbing. The crypto wave is here, folks. I want to highlight something what we're doing here. This is a Q&A show, and this is how I kind of started it here about a couple months, actually about a month and a half ago, when things were just tough, and things are still not tough. I titled this episode "The State of My Union." I had to move the show. We do Wednesdays, okay? We do Wednesdays around here, 5 p.m. Pacific. The winning time zone. But we had a change in the 4 center record schedule for Bad Batch, which takes precedence over most things business-wise for me right now. So I decided, let me just move the show. I didn't realize the State of the Union was tonight. I didn't realize the State of the Union was tonight. Now, as political as I've become, as politically involved I like to be, or at least I'll say politically aware. I want to, I don't want to take a crowd. I'm not canvassing for my favorite candidates and characters. I've politics is not just a little passing interest for me. It's my life, part of my life now, in a way that it never was. All that to say, I still don't say, yeah, I'm going to watch the State of the Union, the highlights, catch it. I'm going to catch probably what will no doubt be Grandma Bobo and Marjorie Taylor Greene screaming at Biden. Mike Johnson's going to sit there with his, his little, youth pastor part in his hair. He invited NYPD police officers who were brutally attacked by migrant criminals. He invited them to the State of the Union. They're all going to say, Mike Johnson's going to sit on his hands. God does not approve. All that stuff. The applauding, the sitting. I will, the State of the Union, though important, with an interesting history. A lot of you probably know, so I don't want to repeat things you know. State of the Union for a while, I think Washington maybe spoke one, and then for a long time it was just a written letter. I love that the State of the Union, but once a year, towards the beginning of the year, the president would write a nice handwritten, thoughtful letter about the State of the Union, and then it would get read, and people were like, "Great." Then I think it was up to someone. Was it like Wilson? Wilson. That's a cynical historian reference for anyone who watches that YouTube channel. And you should watch that YouTube channel. I think it was Wilson. It was around the time. Someone will correct me in chat. Please look it up. They were like, F it. Let's make it a speech. So I will say the State of the Union is the one thing that I remain somewhat cynical on when it comes to politics. It is it's important, and I think it's needed, and you should pay attention. You should pay attention to what Grandma Bobo does in terms of decorum. Mike Johnson, I will give Mike Johnson some credit. Mike Johnson, who is hearing directly from the Lord on this, has said we should keep decorum. We should not do what was done the last few times since Biden's been in office. At least at this office, the booing and the hissing like it's some sort of community theater vaudeville show. But I say this: let it rip, let it rip. I think the State of the Union's political theater. And that can make people cynical, and it's one of the last things I'm cynical about in terms of politics. Other than that, I think it's all pretty damn important. Look what's going on in North Carolina with now going to the election over the governorship. Is it position ship? What's proper? The governorship. Where you got the guy, Mark Robinson, lieutenant governor, believes in lizard people. Believes that, I know his contact, the quote about him saying he thinks we should go back to when women can't vote was kind of taken out of context. His point was not even any better, but let's not harp on that one. He's a problem, right? He's a Holocaust denier. He's quoted Hitler before. He believes in election denial, the denial of the 2020 results. He's a problem. Has said he believes that there are a cabal of leaders hidden in bunkers that are part reptilian, and for the most part, that's an Semitism-based conspiracy theory. And he is, Ken Plume says our potential governor. Plume's going to vote him out or keep him from winning. Anyways, all that to say, politics are pretty important. And I don't enjoy the keep politics out of blank kind of mindset. Unless it's, me at a gas station getting a sandwich. No politics in that. Unless the prices are, unless the sandwich is smaller and the prices are higher, shrinkflation, then screw it. Everything's political. Chad Murrow's here says, lizard people. Yes. Hecklefish would agree. It's why it's important to maybe shout down calls for investigations into the lizard people. You believe lizard people, you're one step away from something pretty real, which was Pizzagate. But anyways, all that to say, I'll be watching the State of the Union later. I think let's just turn it into complete theater. Let's do like the British House of Commons yelling at each other. Let's do it. Let's have Jeffrey stand up, yell across the hall. Let's do it. Let's have Mitt Romney put up fisticuffs, challenge Mitch McConnell, that feckless fop Mitch McConnell. endorsing Trump for president. Same with Glenn Youngkin. All these Republicans are falling in line. They're bending the knee. Anyways, more on that tomorrow on Anytime, on the Anytime channel. Also, you can catch some of my thoughts on Mitch McConnell and Nikki Haley and why I hope she does not endorse Trump for president. And I would actually have a lot of respect for Nikki Haley if she does not endorse Trump for president. But more of that is on my 20 Minutes of Coffee episode that was yesterday. That was live for channel members, though I think I accidentally made it live for everybody because it was I switched everything up yesterday. If you're new to the Blathering, this is what I do. But this is an interesting thing. 6 days ago, I got a great comment. I don't love YouTube comments, but I love you leaving YouTube comments. YouTube comments are a weird thing. Even when someone's being nice, they kind of come off as a prick. Even when someone in the comments, like, I'm not talking about live chat, but someone coming later on, swinging through, they'll be like, nice beanie. And you're like, are they being an asshole? Or are they actually like me? And I like this beanie. You can get it in the shop. Link down below on YouTube or wherever the links show up, because who knows these days. I love doing the Q&A shows. We have a great one once a month on Force Center. We'd love to do more of those. Done a lot of Q&As in the day. I do think, though, Q&As can be boring. I think Q&A shows can be the sign that the hosts and the channel and the creators run out of ideas, at least for the time being. They can be lazy. They can be boring. They can just be people going, oh, here's one. And I think Q&As can be wonderful. I think they can be entertaining. I think they're somewhat of an art form. But I will say this. I say this here. I want to make sure I'm delivering the best, dare I say it, content for all of you out there. And I want to shout out Michael Era 95, Michael ERRA 95, who 6 days ago on the Blathering live video, put it up here, tap that screen, tap that. Oh, that's not what. Oh, damn it! Just made it big. That's what she said. He wrote this. Stephen Turner's here. Stephen Turner checking in on Facebook. Says, hello, Ken. Love Force Center and all your other shows. You know what, Stephen? I love you. I love you swinging by on Facebook, checking out this show, supporting Force Center. Force Center had a big bump this week. Over 450 subscribers joined the Force Center team on YouTube. Jennifer Landa's documentary on Marsha Lucas, which was a reworking of a previously published episode of her podcast, Happy Beeps, is going to cross 20,000 views, which is small for other channels. For us, it's huge. And, Stephen, it's folks like you. Q&As live and die by the audience participation, Horizon Brave says, and he's got some great ones coming in. And you know what? Here's the thing, Horizon Brave. You're right, but I want to add something to that. Not everyone, as a host, can make it sing, right? It's a skill. Do I got the skill? I'm not saying I got the skill. But when I drink my Dragonberry rum and Sprite, oh, I got skills. Troy says, thanks single-handedly to Steve Carell. That's what she said will never get old. It never gets old for me. I don't think it's the highest form of humor. But that and Giggity, which is Family Guy, I just love it. My old roommate and I, we don't talk much anymore because he was like a vaccine denier and made an anti-trans, and I made some cuts on the roster over the last couple of years. But we used to always do those jokes, and I do kind of miss that. Ken Plume says, I got skills. They're multiplying. It's electrified. Let me get to this fucking comment. Michael wrote 6 days ago, Ken, I hope you do this show, this one that you're listening and watching, for as long as you want. I will always tune in. It's the most unique show that I listen to. It's a roller coaster of conversation from fun to serious and always enjoyable. It reminds me of some of the overnight AM radio shows that I listened to when I was growing up in the 80s, with the hosts willing to go down the road the callers took them. So, Michael, not only... I cried on the live stream about 2 months ago. I don't know if I'll cry now. But I not only was touched by that nice comment in a world of crappy, prickish YouTube comments, that was a really heartfelt comment. But you also made me think about something. And Troy also says Archer and phrasing is great too. I love Archer. I did not watch the last few seasons. I fell off of it for no reason with the show. Just fell out with life. Love Archer. Love phrasing. Michael, your comment got me thinking over the last 6 days that, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is where I go to hang out with my audience, to hang out with my friends, to hang out to the people that listen to me or want to check in with me, who have a view of the world close enough to mine that we can hang out. It doesn't need to be completely aligned. In fact, I wouldn't want that. I used to also listen to AM radio talk shows. And I think when people think of AM radio talk shows, you understandably go directly to some of the more politically heavy shows that exploded in the 90s. And those shows were unfortunate for the things that they kind of made the culture and political landscape. But I was a young Republican kid in a small town before I left all that. And I used to listen to Limbaugh. I don't love Limbaugh. His legacy is one of hate. His legacy is one of destruction, not building. He is dead and gone and not remembered for anything good. But there's a reason it grew and exploded. But this isn't that. Though I do want to get political and always will get political. This isn't that. This is an AM radio talk show. Yeah, you want to go down a little conspiracy theory route? I'll talk to you. I'll listen to your conspiracy theories. We'll talk about it. Talk about why I think it's important to maybe fight conspiracies, but also why I think, yeah, finding out truth is not a bad thing. It's a good thing when handled right. You want to talk about silly things like gas station sandwiches? You want to talk about the 2 Uncrustables I had before I sat down in this chair, not 3 minutes before? In fact, we were slightly late on the show tonight because I was finishing an Uncrustable. I am not here to tout my skills as a host, but I'm here to say I know how to do this because I grew up listening to AM radio. Vermont Mike, one of my favorites to hang out here, says I was blessed to listen to 700 WLW growing up. I'll always love AM radio. I mentioned it before in one of my ramblings. There used to be, before baseball, Dodgers, Giants, Angels, A's. That's what I listened to growing up here on the West Coast. I think it was the Giants station, so I'd get it in my hometown about 4 hours south of San Francisco. But there would be like a business talk show. This guy named Bruce. I don't even remember his last name. Maybe some of you out there do. And he'd take business calls. I should have listened more closely. But it was fascinating. I'd listen for an hour. I just listened for an hour. This guy taking calls. Yeah. So, hey, I'm getting a loan here, and the interest rates, aren't right, aren't optimum for buying. But Bruce, what do you think I should do in this market? And I catch it every week. I almost enjoyed it more than baseball. So that's, I think, what we're doing here. And in that vein, and shout out your favorite AM station or your talk station growing up. Jen Murrow checking in from Long Island. She's not in Long Island anymore. Says, wins, 10-10 wins. Even I know wins. Can I broadcast in mono? So Trey T? No, but I can broadcast with mono. Hey, who? We're off the air. Troy says, I just heard an EP title, Ken Napzok, Uncrustable. Troy, that's a good idea. Do I have to pay you for that idea? It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Horizon Brave says, I got to buy some stock in Smuckers for all those Crustables. I don't have to buy stock in Smuckers. Smuckers has to buy stock in me. You're not in here with me. All right, you get it. Sports talk. Dylan Barry says sports talk. Phoenix, it was 16 a.m. I listened to a lot of sports talk growing up. I listened to a lot of sports talk up to about 2010 to 12 range. Used to listen to Colin Cowherd a lot, Jim Rome way back in the day. I don't listen to him anymore. Going back into sports. Cowherd has his moments. Rome has his moments too, but Rome kind of ushered in an era of hate first, of anger and snark first. I think Cowherd has a different side to him in a different gear than some other hosts, but it's the same thing. So that's what we're doing here. Michael, your comment touched me. Your comment inspired me. And your comment helped me focus a little bit on what we want to do here. I'm not going to change the DNA of this show. This is what it is. But what I want to open up is phone calls. I don't even want to take video calls. All right, it's StreamYard. I could send a link to folks, and they could be on the show in seconds. But I don't know if you're going to pull out your wing wang. I don't know. Lauren Romo says WWJ in Detroit. WWJ in Detroit. We got traffic and crappy pizza. Kidding, Lauren. That's a sweeping judgment of the pizza I've yet to try. You know what? Murrow's in chat. And Murrow's a spectacular cook. I don't even think cook is the right word. Chef is how I describe writer extraordinaire Jennifer Muro. The fact that there aren't 20 guys just knocking down her front door to get at the lasagna she prepared last week and posted online about, and I was able to have a slice after a comedy show this week. There you go. Jen, you should make some Detroit style pizzas. What I was getting at. Horizon Brave says minimal wing wangs. I would agree. Ken Plum says W. Zock is on the wire with Uncrusted Ken on the mic drop. Yeah, and remember, old Patreon supporters, remember before I launched Pop Rockin' Radio, I had K-Zock Radio. This is a Team Zock beanie. It all matches up. But then I didn't know that a KZOK actually existed up towards Seattle. So that helped me decide to launch Pop Rockin' Radio when, full circle, I was in Seattle. God, I don't believe in coincidences either. Like, I was in Seattle. My old radio buddy Tom, who has a show, Third Place Radio on Mixcloud, check it out, was like, dude, you got to try Mixcloud. You can do a rock and roll radio show. And so K-Zock became Pop Rockin' Radio. Shut up, Ken. We got some questions. Let's get to them. First, I want to highlight David McKay. It says he's a new member, but David McKay, who might not even be in chat, I think he lives in another part of the universe, smoldering profile picture. He stares straight into you on that profile picture. If you're listening, go check later at about the 23-minute mark. David McKay's profile picture on YouTube is smoking. This dude will make you question things about yourself and maybe even think you have answers. I love it. But he re-upped as a channel member. You can become a channel member and get into things like the live 20 Minutes of Coffee broadcast. And as I unlock those phone calls, being a channel member or a Patreon supporter will get you to those phone lines. We're not going to do it every episode or all episodes, and we're not going to do it today because I haven't set it up. I've had a Google Voice line before. I've done this with a lot of you might remember the TNF in session stuff we did, the old podcast stuff, where I took some questions or took some messages, voice memos off of Google. We can find ways to do it. We can do it through Discord, actually, probably. King Sporkhouse is flexing by membership when you're doing the calls. I'm going to aim for next week. Let's do it for next week. King Sporkhouse has been a member for 10 months. He's one of my favorite folks. Question from Horizon Brave. Ken, my first question, a beret. Do you think you could pull one of those off? I want one, but it may be pretty cringy. Thoughts, please. Horizon Brave, I could not pull off a beret. I had a really good friend growing up who, unfortunately, a couple years ago did pass away way too young. Shout out to my buddy Gavin. Gavin, I don't even know where he got him. Gavin was a unique individual, I'll just say that. We were friends from second grade. Lost a little contact in the years leading up to his passing, which was about 2 or 3 years ago. But we were very close for a very long time. Loved him like a brother. But he was a unique individual at times. And I say this with caution and care for what trench coats came to represent in schools and people who wear them. Dance around that cautiously. But he one year showed up with a black trench coat. This is like 8th grade. He showed up with a black trench coat that he wore pretty much every day. And then in the summertime, he ended up with a red beret. A big, shiny, bright beacon on a hill. Not like Reagan City on a hill nonsense, but a beacon on his head that shined across the land. And he put it on all the time. I don't think he could pull it off either, but he did it. So Horizon Brave, I think berets in America in 2024, much like bow ties, might be too wild of a swing of a statement. But I think you could make it work. I don't know if I necessarily make beanies work, but I made them work for me. So Horizon Brave, you got to find yourself, and I've told this story before, which could also be the title of my autobiography. I was in radio when I went to the Christmas party for our radio station, the one that the Hazies played at, great band. And I tried to dress up like a little bit like a rock star. I found some thrift store clothes, some kind of leathery pants. I ended up getting a Navy uniform, a dress uniform top that ended up being, by complete coincidence, the ship that my dad was on. And I wore it, and I had little black shaded John Lennon glasses. My hair, a lot more back then, it was coming over my ears, had a goatee. Man, I tried so hard to be just like a rock and roll radio personality. And it failed not because of how I looked. I'm not saying it looked great, but it failed because of how I felt in my heart, Horizon Brave. That's the key to fashion. You could probably pull anything you want off, Horizon Brave, if you believe it in here. You have to know it's going to look a little different. A beanie isn't anything over the top. But there are times where I wear the bright pink one or the purple one, and I'm in the need of some new ones if anyone has any thoughts. And I'll wear them to, not a stand-up show, that kind of fits, but I'll wear them to like premieres. I'll wear them to screenings. I wore one to the screening of Joseph Scrimshaw's Nightmare Adorable. And at one point, my co-star, Amy Vorpal, wonderful person, turns to me and says, "That is bright," but with some, admiration in her heart. And I just said, "Yeah, it is, man. It's wonderfully bright." And then we went to El Cholo, as I talked about here on the show and other places. And as I was walking out, there's some dudes there. You know those kind of dudes, Horizon Brave. Those dudes that think all of their worth is tied up to how tough they feel and how tough they look. That the measure of a man is how hard they can swing their axe, not how soft their touch can be. You know those men. They looked at my pink beanie and they scoffed. They scoffed. But it didn't matter. The fashion was in my heart. Horizon Brave says, you're saying, Ken, that the real beret was in my heart all along. You getting it? And that was a wonderful question to start us off here. More questions are in. We got a super chat coming in. If you got a super chat, I would greatly appreciate it. I would love it. If you want to become a channel member, I would love it. If you're on Twitch, if you're watching on Twitch, leave a little bit. Subscribe over there. Leave a cheer. Do all those things. I like the free market. I like money, but I also like you. The one thing I say also, if you ask a question and I don't want to answer it, I won't. But if you super chat the question, even if I don't want to answer it, I'll address it in some way and maybe explain why I don't want to answer it. I'll put that out there. Lauren Roma says, real people wear pink. I don't make the rules. There it is. We got more thoughts here. Adam Knight, check out all of Adam's work. Adam, drop your links for your books and your website and anything here, please. Adam says a beret is a heck of a statement. Says a fellow who wears a black cowboy hat for a paying audience. See? There you go. Ken Plume says they looked at my pink beanie and they scoffed. It's a great line from a short story. Yeah, that could be a one-man show. Scrimshaw can direct it. Big Lou, check it in. I gotta work in more times to actually drink my drink on these shows. Every time this live stream ends, I have about 75% of my rum left to drink. And the last time I had to like get in a car and drive, I was okay. I would not have driven if I couldn't, folks. But I thought, this could be a problem. Big Lou says my best friends in high school used to rock a black trench coat and a black fedora. God bless you. And God bless your friend. Kingsport Cal says, I thought the calls were tonight the way you were talking. Kingsport Cal, I work slowly, okay? And Big Lou had this question. I'm just joining here. Did I miss anything significant? Yes, Big Lou, what we're doing here is I've come to this excellent comment that was left on the episode last week from Michael, who left the comment and said, this show reminds me of reminds him of an old AM radio talk show. And that kind of helped me focus on what I'm doing here. It got me excited. It touched me and got me excited. Touch me, babe. So I want to open up the phone lines to channel members and Patreon supporters, but I'm going to have to figure out the best way to do that. The best way to do that. All right? Because it might, it could interrupt the flow of the show. We'll see. But I'm excited to try it. All right. We got this. This is going to go to the group here. Ken Plume, who just released a new episode of his show, Force 5. You should check it out on Ken Plume's YouTube channel. I'm going to put him on the spot. I mentioned on the 20 Minutes of Coffee show yesterday that I did, we were talking about Cookie Monster, shrinkflation, and Frank Oz, and how I understood what Frank Oz was saying. I understood where it came from. I understood that he understands history more than I ever would, though I don't mind my Muppets political, and I really think Miss Piggy should try to engage Trump in a battle on social media to just make him look like a fool. All that to say, I did put Ken Plume on the spot. I don't know why he doesn't launch the most comprehensive, thoughtful, and poignant Muppet history YouTube channel and podcast. I don't know why. Because there's other channels that do it, and they're not as good. They're not as insightful. They don't know what you know. They don't know the people you know. It could be important. But Ken Plume says this. Also, Great Scott is on as a channel member. Great Scott says, Ken Plume. Great Scott joins the channel. Ken Plume says, what should I do with 22 cups, Ken? Now, this sounds like some sort of inside joke. This sounds like something silly, but it's a real problem to explain. And I want you all to answer. Andrew Cook says, yeah, Discord is tech to do that sort of thing. Yep, I think that might be, at least for the Patreon members. I can get the channel members into the Discord as well, too. Why not? Okay, so what do I do with the 22 cups? Ken Plume is a collector. He's a collector. And he doesn't drink, all right? He doesn't drink. A great decision for him. He doesn't drink. But somehow he ended up ordering 22 Phantom Menace collector cups from 1999. 22 of them. He went on eBay one night. He saw some pop up on the internet. I think Alex and Molly Damon had some. Their guest from Star Wars Thrifting on the Bad Batch review they had last week had one or two. And Ken thought, I need those. So he's got 22 Phantom Menace cups on the way to his house. And he wants to know what he should do with them. I think you should, once they're all there, you should make content with them. And I know we all hate that word, but you should content up your life, like a Spice Girls song. Spice up your life. Then I think you should resell them. Minus the 5 most important ones to you. Kingsport Cal says, give them as gifts for birthdays, Christmas, etc. That's a good one. Ken says, because a Muppet channel will never make money, sadly. Too much of that, I have focused on panic response to that sack. I get it. But not the biggest Muppet channel is a giant moneymaker. And I watched the Simpsons Theory channel go from 20,000 subs to 300,000 in a matter of months. We can make this happen. We can make it happen. I know we can make it happen. Okay. Ken and Ken in conversation is what I'm waiting for. We've been in conversation. We'll do it again. Laserbolt says, everyone needs 22 Phantom Menace cups. So there you go, Ken, Mr. Plume. Laserbolt, who's got a great YouTube channel as well, has cleared you of any wrongdoing. He says we all need those from time to time. Ken wants to add, I want to be clear, I won them at auction for $20 for the lot. So that's less than $1 a cup. That's a bargain. Ridiculous, he says. I was weak. Kingsport Calicadan says, give them out as gifts for birthdays, Christmas. I think that's a great idea, too. I don't want one because my fiance would be very unhappy, though she does love Darth Maul. She does love Jar Jar Binks. She's an Ahmed Best fan. She does like Ewan McGregor. I didn't say Obi-Wan Kenobi. I said Ewan McGregor. If there was a Hayden Christensen one from a year or two after there, then I'd maybe ask you to send that one my way. But for her, I think there's a combination of all these things. Give them as gifts, turn them into YouTube or Instagram or TikTok content. Put it on TikTok before the U.S. government takes TikTok off our phones and iPads, and sell some of them. But keep some of them. You've earned them. At $20 one lot for 22, even if you sell them, shipping's a problem. Sell them locally, you're going to make a profit. Adam Knight says that's one heck of a haul. He would put those cups next to my collectibles I still have from 1999 on my Star Wars shelf. Got it. We cleared that question. We cleared it indeed. All right. Great Scott, again, becomes a channel member. Our first and only super chat of the night, Goopy G, I love that profile picture for those who can see it. Big glurpy slurp from me, sorry. I haven't had dinner yet tonight. Uncrustables do not count as dinner, at least not tonight. If you have two or fewer Uncrustables, it's not dinner. 3 or more, it's dinner. Ken, how do you manage to stay optimistic with this disaster for presidential election and the possibility that Trump may become president again? It would be an absolute abject disaster if Trump becomes president again. We cannot have Trump be president again. We cannot have any Republican in office as a president again, as far as my mind goes. But that's not the way it's going to be throughout the course of history. There's going to be people in power that you don't agree with. There's going to be people in power that you don't agree with to a certain degree. There's going to be people in power that you want to consider to moving to Paris for, which is what will happen for me if Trump wins. But I'm not going to because I love this country. And I think that's where I go. Goopy G. I do love this country and company. And this country's kind of a company. And I do think it matters. They are not the same. Anyone who tells you that all the politicians are the same, they are not paying attention and they are in a position of privilege to not be affected by one side. Talk to a transgender person what they feel about the right. Talk to the queer community in general. Talk to those suffering under the long-standing effects of the trickle-down economics from the 80s and beyond, and the love of corporations and the deregulation and the union busting and all those things. It does matter. It does matter. But it also matters so many ways outside of the White House. I'm not saying the White House does not matter. It does. It matters in the face of the world. And my first... the first I'm not going to stick with the way I was raised with Trump was just the simple thought of I don't even care about policies. I cannot have him representing me in this country I do love and the world large. And he did. And you know, he made some buddies. The bad Vladimir definitely likes him. It's the local level. It's the city. It's the county. It's the state. I am someone who bristles at states' rights. I don't have a problem with it overall, but I've just never found anyone that uses, it should be up to states' rights for good reasons. Maybe not all bad reasons, but definitely not good reasons. And it's personal experience. You're all free to disagree on that. I find the concept of states' rights to be rather puzzling and outdated for one country. Indivisible liberty and justice for all. But it does matter. It matters if this wingnut lizard people Holocaust denying candidate for governor of North Carolina wins. It might matter for the people of North Carolina more than if Trump wins. So that's where I stay optimistic. Is those are the battles to have. These are the conversations to have with the people around you. That all of this matters. That the voter's guide you got with all of the little, things, measures being voted for in your community that I used to skip over too, that I sometimes would flip a coin over, that they matter. They matter. They matter. So there you go. That's why I say it doesn't necessarily help me stay optimistic. It just helps me keep the eye on the prize. Kingsport Cal says, I stand up for the county. That's where I live, and that shit is the shit that affects me. Lauren Roma says, I fight for the living. There you go. Vermont Mike says, I'm worried about no labels taking away too many votes from Biden. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I know Dean Phillips is out, right? I do agree with that, Mike. It's going to be tough. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I think being realistic. And I want to be clear. I'm someone who definitely has come to the decision in my heart that I do believe, it's not Biden's to win. I still think he's got to earn it. I think I could point to a lot of things that I like he's done. I also think some of the system that we have is broken. Not the political system. The economic system is the thing that is more broken beyond any office. That's the thing that is an all-encompassing failure and evil for me, right? I think it all comes down to wealth, poverty, and those issues, and a lot of things. That's an oversimplification of things, certainly. But that's where I go with that. But yeah. Because I think a lot of people pass through elections, right? I know Vermont Mike is not someone who passes through elections. I know every decision he makes, whether I fully agree with him or he fully agrees with me, is a thought-upon decision. So I respect it. Same with Ken Plume, who says local has global effects. Abernathy's here. Yeah. I think a lot of people pass through elections. And it's easy to be cynical. We're minutes away from the State of the Union, right? Unless it starts at 6, right, my Tim? It's easy to be cynical. There's a lot to make you cynical. Don't be the one that's cynical in your group. Horizon Brave had a good comment here. I'm a Democrat for 90% of my decisions. I don't know if I'd say no more Republicans. I think the party's going to be flawed and usurped at this point. Keyword, but they're respectable Republicans in the past. Yeah, look, I voted for McCain. John McCain, certainly not perfect, and I got a lot of friends who hate that I voted for John McCain, but I have a respect for John McCain. I try to keep some respect for Mitt Romney. I think it's tough at times, but I think he has gone out and is going out on his principles. I do think, I do think it's fair to say that over the course of history, and again, they got the party switch and the history and all that kind of stuff, which was it was interesting. That was what the North Carolina lieutenant governor was saying. That full quote about I don't think women should be allowed to vote actually is him hearkening back to Republicans of the past before they switched to the Southern Dixiecrats and were the party of segregation and sexism and more and more and more. So there you go. That's where I go with My buddy Barry Collins here says, don't be cynical, but entertaining. Seems to work with me. Barry adds, McCain was okay, but Palin absolutely killed his chances. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I was a McCain voter, and I stuck with McCain. But it was the three. I always say this: 3 days after Palin came on the ticket was when the dime dropped for me, because the first 2 days were like, what a great choice. We got a next generation female leader, and she's vivacious and vibrant, and she's got the rural vote. She's got the great. What a wonderful master. Oh, God damn it, no. And what I started to realize there, what I think McCain got caught up with, and I think you have to put it on his shoulders, final decisions and whatnot, is the Republicans had already long been in their culture war. But to me, there was a removal of substance, and it was all for the branding. And Democrats have a brand too. Don't you worry about that. I'm not a huge fan of all the members of the squad. I've at times disagreed with Bernie. Right now, I really kind of agree with Bernie over some of his stuff on not a nickel more for Israel, all that kind of stuff. I'm up for analyzing each candidate as they come. I do think playing it as case by case is important. I'm not so swinging one way that you don't want to slip into some kind of Democrat fascism. It can't work that way. This country is not founded on that. I do believe that I'd love to have more parties viable. I think a lot of people think that, and a lot of people have good intentions for that. That's what Dean Phillips was trying to sell. I think, thankfully, it did not work. But I do like that idea. But we're not there yet. Yeah, Horizon Brave says, on paper, it'll work. Yeah, on paper. On paper. So anyways, Goopy G, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the question. If you got a super chat, you got a question, go for it. Hit me up. Barry checking in on Facebook says, I really miss the political middle. I don't. It's left all the way for me. To me, the middle is where the oppressed go to die. Or are put to die. So I'll be honest about that. I don't. Yeah, no middle for me. But the middle can be for you. Ken Plume says, cynicism and engagement are not and should not be seen as mutually exclusive. I like that. Ken Plume's smart. He's smart. I know when you hear a man buy 22 Phantom Menace cups, you think, I don't know if that's smart. And he's smart. He's smart. Okay. Next questions. You can start bringing those questions in. I'm really loving this drink. I'm going to have to go back to the liquor store. I don't know if this violates any kind of... I have not been dinged yet. I am the king of drunk movie fights. The cups are from my tears. Oh, boy. No, you're going to get those cups. You're going to get those cups, and you're going to feel good about the decision. $20. If it had been like $5 a cup or $40 or higher, I think you did good. And again, it's not that I still love collecting things. I'll pass through the toil at a Target, and I'll be like, I don't need that 12-inch Ahsoka. I didn't even love the show as much as the other shows. Well, I don't want a 12-inch Ahsoka figure, but it's in my cart. What am I going to do? I've been able to put them back. Been able to put the toys back. Officially have run out of room. Sold all the big sets of the Star Wars Legos, minus one. I did keep the Death Star, to quote Glenn Headley at the end of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Is that a bad thing? Is that wrong? Ken wants me to unbox them. Hillbilly Script says, collect memories. Ken Bloom says, keep nambling. I'm going to unbox those cups with you on a live stream. I told you I would only be there for 10 of them. I'm not doing 22. You should divide it up by chapters. I'll unbox 10 with you. you can get someone else to unbox 10 more, and then maybe 2 bonus ones somewhere else down the line. Okay. 11 or no, 10. I'm good for 10. If you're just joining, my name's Ken Napzok. This is Blathering Live. You might be watching on Facebook. You might be hanging out on Twitch. Cheer and do some cheer bits over there and all the good thing. Let me know you're here. 2 of you are over there right now. You also are probably, most likely, watching on YouTube or watching later on YouTube. Leave a comment down below if it's later. Be part of the later crew. Make a nice comment like Michael, who reminded me that this is what I love doing. It's AM talk radio. I switch titles too much because I get antsy. I have branding ADHD. Radio Blathering Live is something I'm considering because I don't like Blathering Radio Live. Something about Radio Blathering Live. RBL. Oh, someone had a question earlier. Where was that question about radio stations? No, we're K's over here. We're K's over here. Kzok or WZOK, WZOK would be East Coast. But West Coast, we're K's. K-Bear 95, KWBR with my station. And right now I'm on Hall of Fame Music Radio, which is a WHFM. HOF, yeah. I don't know. So KZOK is a Pacific Northwest radio station. I don't think they call it KZOK. KZOK. We had a KZOZ in my hometown as well. That was the big competition. All right. Any more questions? Hit me up. In the meantime, I want to know at what point does a pain, a physical pain, not an emotional pain, but what point does a physical pain become something you can no longer ignore? And to add to that, as I wait for questions coming in, King Sport Cal says, the blathering is fine. Okay, Cal. Okay. You wouldn't listen to Radio Hooters coming from Johnson City, Tennessee? You just stick with Hooters? Okay. I have a side, I'm calling it a side injury, because what is that, the oblique down here? Oblique? I just know from baseball, you strain oblique. It's even that kind of hurt. About 1.5 years ago, I noticed that if I laid in bed and faced, was on this side here, what is my left side, and faced out. I'm a side sleeper. Also like a face down sleeper, like smother myself in my pillow. It's like some deep-seated, emotional issues are working their way out through my pillow. So yeah, about 1.5 years to maybe even 2 years ago, I noticed that when I try to move and to switch from, say, back to side, I got this sharp pain, almost like a cramp, but a pain. But it only happened when I was sleeping. It doesn't happen when I was up. It didn't happen when I was working out, walking, running, hiking, lifting weights. Who am I kidding? I don't effing run. It just, it was like, and I couldn't, like, getting up in the morning hurt. But then it goes away, right? And I got the back injury and got all the other things. I got a great question about Rochambeau that I'm going to get to. It'll spark a debate. It will spark a debate. You watch this. Anyways, point being, now the pain is constant. It's right here. God bless it. And I have that, but I had the back injury in January. Now this, I have not been able to lift a weight in about 3 months. And these arms are, look at this. God damn it. I'm not the Rock anymore. I'm Bastion Booger. I've been walking again. The back healed up enough to where I can walk again. So I feel as though I'm getting my steps in, getting my strides in, and I can feel some LBs dropping there. I'm also, maybe I stop eating 19 Uncrustables every day. That's not true. I don't do that. Anyways, I got my medical back, kind of. I'm not on Covered California's good Kaiser PPO plan. I'm on like the Medi-Cal Kaiser HMO plan, but it's Kaiser. Get my doctor back. I've not had medical since December. So I think I got to make the call, and it's hard, and it's one of the last things that I would describe myself as, that in myself that is like toxically male. This, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'm all right. And it's just getting worse. Abernathy has the answer. When the pain becomes greater than the fear of back surgery. I think that in a nutshell. When the pain becomes greater than the fear of the surgery. Yeah. That's the scale. Adam Knight would know. He, being a working pro wrestler, knows how to manage pain. Food for thought. Next question from Horizon Brave here. You're listening to Radio Blathering Live. There, I said it, Kingsport Cal. You're listening to the Blathering Live. Horizon Brave says, do you have your ham radio license, or does your actual broadcasting license supersede it? I have neither. At one point in time, yeah, to be on the radio, you needed an FCC license. Never had one. Don't have one now. I'm on the radio in Pennsylvania. Didn't have one in the mid-'90s. Now, whether or not I needed one in the mid-'90s, I don't know. I also worked a year and a half as a security guard, security professional there without a guard card because I was directly employed by the mall at the time. But then we went contract and I had to get one. My guard card did finally expire. I kept renewing my guard card for about 2 or 3 years after I left. So even when I was at Screen Junkies and Collider, I was renewing my guard card. But then after a while, you need to get updated training, and I didn't want to have to go pay for it and go back to my old company. So I let it expire. That's guard card. I've never had a broadcasting license. Do not have a ham radio license. I was on micro radio, what some might call pirate radio. That's actually where I got my first experience with radio. 88.9 FM in Grover Beach, California, broadcasting from the hole in the sky on Grand Avenue. That's where I got my start. So never had it. Never had it. I'd get one. I don't love gatekeeping, but I don't think it would be a bad idea if Ken Plume says, but you do have a license to be a ham. 9 cups. I'm down to 9 cups on your stream. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if people had to get licensed now. Like YouTube. Imagine if you had to get a YouTube broadcasting license. Like I said, I don't love it's a gatekeeping concept. But it's also a bit of a professional and professionalism concept that I wouldn't mind. I didn't have one. I feel, though, Horizon Brave, I've missed out on life. Kingsport Cow says, I fish on the Holston River without a license, rebel. I'm going to report you. Sean, hey, buddy, says, if you ever need a license to eat ham. And you never need a license to eat ham. I think maybe I should get a license to eat ham. And Muro's just laughing. Brendan Casey checking in on Facebook says, I had 3 back surgeries and 1 year pain was overwhelming. There you go. That's the answer. That's the answer. When you're going to face 3, you go get it. I just know what I realized about 3 weeks ago, that's the other thing to the pain. It stopped. The whole time I had the back injury thing and I was down and I wasn't going to the gym, the pain stopped. Then I healed up. And I was like, good, I can get back to lifting some weights. And again, I'm an old man. I'm not moving a lot of iron in that gym. I have my home gym. I have a full set of everything I need to work out. A lot of exercise bands, the Gorilla Bow, free weights, a machine. We have a stair stepper. We have a treadmill. Pretty much a full gym. some medicine balls, have some ropes. Not a lot of room for them, but I got them. I went back for 2 days, like 3 weeks ago. Bands, I'm talking, I was like, I'm going to do this nice and slow. The pain returned. So that's why I know it's connected to movement. I think the move, like this kind of movement and straining, so you even kind of feel it right there. God bless it. See, everyone's in agreement, 9 cups. 9 cups, Plume. You're falling down to 8. Falling down to 8. All right. Nice, Beanie. Did I do it right? Stop it, Trey T. That's a callback. Okay, this question's going to start some debates here. This is what I love doing this show. We've had a serious conversation about Joe Biden, who's currently right now approaching the stage to deliver the State of the Union. If you joined me at the top of the show, the State of the Union is probably the last big political thing that I've remained somewhat cynical about. I do think it's a lot of theater, but I do think it's a lot of substance. I will be watching later. I'll be going in for the highlights and the think pieces, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow on Anytime with Ken and Alden. But for those who are with me now, put it up on 2 screens. Put on ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, and put up me. Because this next question is going to be very serious, okay? Kingsport Cal says, a lot of people don't have a home gym. Yeah. So go work out in the park, Kingsport Cal. What, I got to hold your hand? Adam Knight of Nightfall Productions. Author of the Overdrive series. Professional wrestler in a cowboy hat. Great guy. First guest on the Blathering Conversations, which I called Blathervations back then, and then I changed it because the name was too familiar to an absolute jackass in his show in this YouTube space. It's a serious question. Rock, comma, paper, no comma, or scissors. What's it go to? Rock, paper, scissors. My go-to is match. To explain. The game, which I still believe is called Rochambeau, right? Not Rorschach, but Rochambeau. Kingsport Cal says, stop saying you're broke, Mr. Home Gym. Kingsport Cal, I bought every one of those items 5 years ago. I'm thinking of selling them to eat. Yeah, we got a lot of, now we got Oxford comma debates coming in here, which we had on Anytime a couple weeks ago. I play with match. And you're saying, but Ken, the game is rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. That's how all the fate in the world is decided. Not so in my house. I was raised with rock, paper, scissors, and match. Now, scissors defeats match. It cuts it in half. Match defeats paper because it catches on fire. But the kicker, which tipped the balance, I think, is match strikes rock. It strikes rock. And that is counted as a win in this version of the game. I didn't make up these rules. They were taught to me by my father. Hillbilly Scribs has another game to play, but it's also a question. I'm going to make it a question. We'll come back to it. So, this is controversial because every time I bring this up, people are like, what hellish game are you playing? Ken Plume saying rock, paper, scissors, match, water. Now, what's the symbol for water? Is this the symbol for water? Rock, paper, scissors, match, water. So, this begs the question. I don't know if Ken's being a little facetious, as he's known to be, and he's apt to do. A man bought 22 Phantom Menace cups in one sitting. But I think people might have other versions of the game, and I want to know. I'm not saying this needs to be a 6-part Netflix documentary. It could be. Rock, paper, scissors, and more. The Rochambeau story. I think this is what, it's begun. The conversation has begun. I think I lost a couple of you to the State of the Union. Is this the new soda Coke Pop? We all know, because we all know it's soda. Choosing match, says Leslie like saying, come in when someone says knock, knock. Yeah, it could be. Kingsport Cal agrees. Water. Oh, yeah. And Abernathy says, that's crazy. My mom added bomb to the game. They beat and got beat by the same things your match did. Okay. This is fantastic. Ken Plume says, water wets paper, extinguishes matches, rust scissors, but the rock disperses water. Oh, no. The water is the nuclear bomb of this game. It's nuclear. Nuclear. Strategery. Woo. So bomb has the same properties, which is a thumbs up. I guess this is where you light the bomb. We got breaking news. Oh, no. Breaking major protests in Washington, D.C. blocks Biden motorcade route. Oh, is this the unconfirms? I'm going to Twitter Live now here. Twitter Live, State of the Union. You're looking live. Block of the roads, that's right. Oh, boy. They're going for it. There we go. I'm watching now. The world is watching. It is Free Palestine protests, shuts down Penn Avenue. Hey, people have spoken. Fascinating times. Thank you, Andrew. All the way from New Zealand with that, right? Back to the important things. So there's regional versions of this game. I feel as though we've all been lied to by big rock, paper, scissors. I feel as though big rock, paper, scissors has kept the uniqueness of our own game separated. I think it is blocking the beautiful, vibrant diversity of the game. I love all these things. Water is a power. Water wets paper, extinguishes match, rusts scissors, but the rock disperses water. Wow. So if you were to add a bomb to that, what would a bomb and a match? We have to create new rules. This is fantastic. I think we should work this out. All right. Michael's all here for the protest. Look, people are speaking. You had the protest vote in Michigan. I know we might be getting closer. I know there's been some tougher speak from Kamala Harris on this stuff. Old wrestling fans know that problem. It's Kamala Harris. But if you hear anyone like me call her Kamala, it is, your brain cannot escape the pro wrestling from the 80s. It's such a gut reaction. I apologize to the vice president. The tough talking, I think, was a direct result of the unconfirmed voting protest in Michigan. I think you have to look at it. And again, you could be cynical and say it is an election kind of strategy, and I think it is. Or you could look at it and say, hey, the word is working. And possibly it is. Craziness. We have a representative from Big Rock, Paper, Scissors. Laserbolt, checking in from Michigan, says anything other than rock, paper, scissors is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord, period. See, I knew it would spark controversy. Now, I do think you have to declare before you play. Without a doubt, you have to declare before you play. You do not just get to whip out your match, giggity, without declaring that that's the game you're playing. I think we all can agree on that. I think we all can agree on that. This question coming in from our buddy Hillbilly Scripps. Well, he didn't. I think he meant it as a joke and a play on the rock, paper, scissors. But I know some folks out there who are single and looking. I know some folks out there who want to share some love into the world. I get it. I get it. I feel it. I'm good. Fortunate to be good. But I was single for a long time. I was lonely for a long time. I get it. Hillbilly Scripps, who, by the way, just donated so much of his time and energy and money to participate in the stbaldrick's.org shave-a-thon in his local area this weekend. Raised money for research to squash, to defeat childhood cancers, to honor those who have lost the battle and those who are fighting it and those that will. Hillbilly Scripps is a personal hero of mine. But I know he's lonely. And it's hard for someone who works at a hospital, who works with a lot of pain around him, a lot of darkness, and he's got to find the light. And then he's got to go home, and he's got to listen to, like, our buddy John Mariano on the headset when they play video games. Long Island, Long Island, Long Island. I get it. It's hard for someone like Jeff to find love. This guy, Jeff Saunders, Hillbilly Scripps, in the last couple years, has gone from when I met him as being just a hard-working medical professional who looked like your average weekend dad out there, seeing the sights, raising a family, raising kids, as he has done, to Jeff Saunders now is covered in tattoos, is going on bar crawls, he's dyeing his hair multiple colors. He's a hep cat, man. Jeff Saunders deserves love, and he's asking this important question. Maybe you can, if you're in the live chat, weigh in. Or if you're watching later, comment down below. Match.com, eHarmony, or Tinder. Where are you going to find love? I have I've been on Tinder. eHarmony. Been on eHarmony. I'll tell you about that in a second. I never did Match. Never did Match. And no Kingsport Cal, I did not do Grindr. Got another super chat coming in. We'll get to that in a second. And Jared, I see what you've done. Dylan Barry asked a question about a comedy show. I'll answer that. Sean Room says, someone in a fine relationship with someone I met on Hinge, that would be my pitch. I did go on Hinge. I did like Hinge for the time I was on it. I didn't match anybody. I was on Tinder, and, I was afraid. Here's the thing. I think no matter what you're on, again, like we talked about at the top of the show with the fashion, when Horizon Brave asked about the beret. When you're making a fashion choice, when you're making a dating app choice, it's all about what's in your heart. I was on Tinder. I did go on Hinge. I was on Bumble. But I remember I was on Tinder. And I was afraid to swipe. You like them? Right. Correct? Like you swipe right. Left is bad. Right is good. It's like the opposite of what your politics should be. I was afraid to do it. I'd occasionally do it. And I'd be afraid. And then I had some other friends. There was one guy who'd play Tinder roulette. Some of you might know him. He was an infamous yet popular character on the Schmoes Know podcast. He wore a beanie on his face. And he would play Tinder roulette, which is he would just swipe right on all of them to see what happened. Not my style. and I don't think it's Jeff Saunders style. But I think you have to be brave enough to swipe right. And I was afraid to swipe right. So I was at a schmoes party one time. It was just like the schmoes gang back in the early podcast days. And Tiffany Smith grabbed my cell phone. At the time, probably an Apple 8 or something. iPhone 8, whatever. She grabbed it and said, let me look at your profile. And here's one of the things, too. I do think it's important to have your friends, the friends that you trust, look at your profile. Look at your dating profile. And make sure that you are putting out into the world, you are broadcasting the way they see you versus the way you see yourself, right? We have a tendency to maybe not look down on ourselves. Some of you are confident. Jake says, what are we swiping right about? Jake, we're talking about dating. And dating apps. Jeff Saunders asked this question. We got another super chat I'll get to. Thank you. Hillbilly Scribs, Jeff Saunders, Match, eHarmony, or Tinder. And here's the thing, man. Tiffany looked at my profile and said, all right, here's some notes I have for you. But then she started swiping right. And she did not do the Tinder roulette on my behalf. She looked at it, and I think another friend was there. And looked at it and like, okay, right, left, right, left, right. Immediately got some matches. Tiffany started laughing in that way Tiffany Smith does. Handed the phone back to me and said, there, boom, you got some matches. I went home and promptly deleted the app. I got so scared. So no matter what you use, Jared says, as a bi, polyam, cis male, dating is a nightmare. I would imagine dating is a nightmare for anybody. But when you increase the categories, I think you increase the problems. Not that you shouldn't increase the categories. Laserbolt says PayPal is my favorite dating app. I think Venmo could also be a good dating app if people leave it on public. Jake Iacovetta, there's Jake. I thought it wasn't real swipe right. The World Girls looked at my profile. There were kind of no notes because they knew I'm too stubborn to not just be me. All right. Troy says, that's funny. The Smith Lord popped up on my YouTube feed today. Playing Magic, yeah. Tiffany's out there doing wonderful things. Now, the thing about eHarmony, in around 2003, early 2004 range, I gather, my roommate signed up for eHarmony. And I was really lonely back then. This was a dark time in my life. Kingsport Cal's being mean in chat, but that's okay. Harrison Gibson says, I got lucky with Tinder, found my current girlfriend of 1.5 years there. See? eHarmony. I don't like the founder. I think it's cultish. I think it's a little creepy. But here's the thing. I signed up after my friend signed up, and he did his little profile. And one night after work, we lived together with another roommate in Northridge, in a house in Northridge. He calls me into his room, and he's like, look at this. I did the eHarmony thing. I filled out the profile, I answered the questions. Look, I got like 90 matches. 90 matches. And, of course, we're scrolling through, because this is around the time when you had websites. The internet in the early 2000s, you had websites like hotornot.com. By the way, I think I was average rating for me on hotornot.com was like a 7. I got some 9s. I got a 3 once that broke my heart. And then ratemypoo.com. That was the internet in 2003. Now the internet's changing the world. Now, tonight, we know that we've got protesters blocking Biden, trying to free Palestine and ceasefire now. We know this from social media and the internet. Back then, we had a website to rate other people's poo. I don't know if that's lost to time, that was a real thing. But my roommate calls me in and says, I got 90 matches. Within a couple weeks, he was going to have a date with one of them. You know, come in. Hey, this is what she looks like. This is what's going on. We matched. And they went on a date at a local sports book Irish bar and grill near the Van Nuys golf course. They got married in 2006. Have 2 kids. Still going great. Still friends with Joel. It worked. But seeing as he got 90 matches, and seeing as he got that date, I signed up. Filled out my profile. Got no matches. I'm not lying. I'm not playing it up for the camera or the show. I got no matches. I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. But that's why it didn't work for me. Dylan Barry asks, when's the next comedy show? The Good Night looked fun. The Good Night Bar show was spectacular. If you are local to the greater Los Angeles area and you can get to the Good Night Bar, I suggest you catch the show done monthly by Ryan O'Toole, a.k.a. Ryan O'True on social. Ryan worked at Screen Junkies for a while, mostly behind the scenes. Great guy, very funny person, very funny comic. And he puts on a show this past Saturday night. Joe Starr and myself, along with our buddy Jen Sturger and some other great comics, got to appear on Ryan's sold-out bar show. I do shows at comedy clubs for 4 people sometimes. We had a sold-out bar show. Hilarious night. The crowd was great. Everyone did wonderful. Joe Starr returned to the stage after 6 years and just absolutely killed it. Jen, great as always. I had a wonderful set. Very proud of it. Which was a good show. As far as the next one, Flappers didn't book me this week. But if you're in the Boston area, Mark Ellis and I at the Rockwell, April 6th. Tickets available on our websites. There you go. Thank you. Dylan Barry asks, how was Joe Starr? Joe Starr was spectacular. Jake says the show I went with Alan Smithy at Flappers was great. Yeah, good show. We had a good time that night. And Alan Smithy's here. Alan Smithy shows up. Good show. All right, Jared says funds for Napzok and Plume to watch DS9. Yeah, look, you're still adding to it, but I just want to know your money's going to Uncrustables. It's not going to DS9. As long as we agree with this. And Plume might be down to 8 cups if you start collecting money for DS9. Jared also says I've been rewatching all the Castley Talk episodes. So ready for Hot D 2, Rings 2, and Willow 2, which sadly not going to get. I'm excited for all those. I'm actually really excited for Rings 2. I'm going to do a rewatch of that show. I am a fan of Rings of Power. I know not everyone liked it. I thought it was rich theme-wise and enjoyable and made me love the world even more. And I'm excited for Hot D. Got to do a Hot D rewatch, too. So many things to watch, and you guys want me to watch DS9, which I know is good. Jamie Johnson asks, any way to see comedy sets without being there? Ken Romo's playing Fortnite while you're talking. Tattletale. Oh, so are you. No. Jamie, I don't post a lot of them. You can pick up my comedy album, of course, the audio album. The special edition's available on Bandcamp. Go to kennapzok.bandcamp.com. Links on my website. Links down below if you're watching on YouTube. I do have for sale, if you become a Patreon supporter at any level, there is a set I did in New York City in October. That is up there. It's also in my Patreon shop. $3. Get a 15-minute set. Great time in New York. I put some clips up from now and then on social media. I don't do a lot of crowd work. At least I didn't over the last couple of years. I've been doing a little bit more crowd work. I don't think clips just need to be nor should be crowd work, but I think that's what a lot of people like. So I don't put a ton of clips up, but I do have some on my Instagram page and my TikTok page. Jake Acavetta says, still missing the news, and apologies to fans of the news I was doing on Anytime. Third week in a row that I just cannot do it. I do have a job now, writing for another YouTube channel, not in the movie space, not in the politics space. I can't publicly announce it yet. Not in the nerd space either. It's something kind of different for me. I'm having fun. Just started this week. And just got to get the rhythm down. And then we'll get back to the news on Anytime. But I do appreciate those who remember the old days. Patreon. Jamie Johnson's Patreon of U4 Center. Mine. Patreon.com/Ken Napzok. It is on there. It is on there. Jared says, how long is your set for Boston? Usually, as the feature, usually about 20 minutes. Mark and the club determine that. Usually the club gives Mark Ellis, here's your allotted amount of time. Mark kind of determines what he wants to do. Does he want to do 45 minutes? Usually it's no less than 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Does he need to run his hour? Does he want to do 30 minutes and then do Q&A? Does he want to do 45 minutes of Q&A? Does he want to do an hour to Q&A? We don't do the Q&As as much anymore. A lot of times in New York we do. But that all comes from the allotted time the club gives him. The club will also say, hey, we might have a drop-in, especially if you're in New York. Like one of the shows, Andrew Schultz dropped by, that kind of thing. That we don't know sometimes till we get there, so it's based off of that. So usually as the feature, I'm doing no less than 15 minutes, no more than 25 for sure. But usually it's around 20 minutes of a feature set. So that's probably what I'm looking for to Boston. And then we'll have some fun. So there you go. Troy, personally, always more concerned about deep spaces 1 through 8. No one talks about them. Harrison says, congrats on the job. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like a lot of jobs, it's freelance. It could go at any moment, but I think it's what I need for right now, and good. Good. Jake Acavetta, who I've met personally, probably even drunkenly hugged, says, I actually never watched Force Center. I love Ken and Joseph. No clue who Jennifer is, but I really said I've never watched it. Jennifer Landa, just this last week, put out the most successful YouTube video in the Force Center history. I'll check the numbers right now. For us, it's big, tiny for other people's channels. I get it. We just started leaning into YouTube. We're crossing 20,000 views on this video Jen put out this week on the Marsha Lucas effect, which is the documentary. That she actually did in 2017 for her show Happy Beeps, which was the show that she put out after the Jedi beat, and we reworked it, and it's amazing. Troy says, I'm weird. I've seen more episodes of Other Center with Force Center. You're the guy, and we appreciate you. We love the Other Center fans we had. Check it out, Jake. Check it out. It is Star Wars punditry done thoughtful. It's not for everybody. It's not a review. I mean, we review, we discuss, but it's a deep dive, connecting the saga to our lives. And I'm tremendously proud about it. Got another super chat. A couple here I want to get to. Jared checks in again. Says, would love to hear more of your thoughts on Ghostbusters and its political message. Yeah. We got into it last time out, I think, because I was just finishing up Just finish up. Andrew actually mentions it. Andrew Cook says, "I haven't been around in a bit. Didn't you have a writing gig somewhere else that you couldn't talk about?" The last couple weeks I've been writing for Fandom. Every so often, Billy Patterson or Emma Fife or someone at Fandom will bring me in to just kind of do a project here and there. So one of the projects I did do was a giant Ghostbusters project. And as longtime Schmoes fans know, I've never really watched Ghostbusters growing up. I'd seen clips here and there. I remember seeing Ghostbusters 2 off and on Comedy Central, but I never watched it. I just flipped through. Hadn't seen it. A couple years ago, I watched the first Ghostbusters. Yeah, it's good. Fine. Got it. It's got people in it I love. Funny jokes. Got it. Pop culture, zeitgeisty kind of film. Got it. Last year, I got to go to the firehouse. We were staying in a hotel in Tribeca around the corner from the firehouse, like literally 4 or 5 minute walk from the firehouse. So we went over. That was cool. Been in front of the library, all that kind of stuff. Kind of cool. Dan Merle took me over there before I'd seen the movie. But I was talking last week. So I don't want to remix it too much. Jake Yakovetis says that we have drunkenly hugged in Houston and LA for what it's worth. 2 cities, 2 states. But yeah, I want to put, I'll put pen to paper over one day. I like the movie, and I don't even think it's a super, it's a negative political message or one that I don't understand. It is such a byproduct. It is such a 1980s, more probably mid-1980s Reagan era movie. And this is the Dan Aykroyd stuff. I think Harold Ramis brought the heart and spirit to it and the comedy, and Aykroyd brought the perspective. And I really do believe it's not all super intentional either. I think that's especially with what we do over at Force Center. When we're diving into the themes of all these shows and movies, often I don't think it's all super, super intentional or super, super present. You know, it's how you connect to it. But I think what remains is the themes are there. The rocks cry out. Benioff and Weiss say in Game of Thrones that we don't do themes. Our show did not have themes. That's for high school English papers. That's great, but they're also lying. It is just chock full of themes. And themes emerge when you really break this down and you just kind of see what is every scene telling you. What is every scene saying? What is the perspective of every scene? And the Ghostbusters 84 film is just dealing with mid-80s. New York is crime-ridden. Fear, distrust of big government. That was Ronald Reagan's big thing. Deregulation, union busting. We've got to bootstrap small businesses. And so the fact that the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was the main villain, Walter Peck, that he was there to just do inspections, to regulate them. Combine that and mix that with the city was run amok by ghosts. You can make the connections to what you think the ghosts might be. They're definitely not super direct, right? But it has the feeling that they are undesirables. They are the criminal element. They are people that do not belong here. And we cannot rely on the city government. We cannot rely on the big government to do it. We've got to do it ourselves. And this small business that we're cheering along, the Ghostbusters, are the ones doing it. These ghost cops, which is another Aykroyd fantasy. And the government is trying to regulate them. The government is trying to destroy the small business of the people. Winston Zeddemore represents the blue-collar love of the city, the resident that wants to take pride in the city but can't. And Winston's my favorite Ghostbuster, by the way. And so that's the starting point. And again, I said all that last week. I can maybe put more thoughts down. I think you can extrapolate a lot of things from that. In searching this, I saw a lot of harsher takedowns of the movie that I don't necessarily think are fair, but they're not necessarily untrue because it just was the time. Again, I don't think Aykroyd was sitting down to say, I've got some thoughts on big government versus small government. Aykroyd just has that. That's who he is. He's a believer in the paranormal. He's a believer in ghosts. He's a believer in government not being transparent. He follows those paths, most of them which are lies to himself, about what's going on, right? They're always hiding something, so you can't trust them. And that is just who Aykroyd is. And I love Dan Aykroyd's my all-time favorite SNL cast member. And I love the explosiveness that is inside Aykroyd. A lot of it comes from this. Alan Smithy says there's these Canadian themes. Not necessarily, right? He does love his Canadian mountains, right? But, being in New York in the 70s, conceiving this in the early 80s, the Ed Koch years, this is the I Love New York because we need someone to come here and love it. This is pre-Giuliani, right? And, yeah, Canada versus America could be some of that, too. Again, there's the ghost cop thing is an Aykroyd fantasy played out. But I like the other side of it that Harold Ramis talks about, and I mentioned, again, sorry for repeating this, I mentioned this last week, but Harold Ramis talks about Stay Puft Marshmallow Man representing the thing that our fears are not as big or not as dangerous as we make them out to be. That sometimes they're just relatively harmless, though supersized, squishing the landscape Marshmallow Man. Ken Plume says, remember that the best description of Aykroyd is a man who would love to commit a crime and then arrest himself. I think that's Canada and America right there, or America versus Canada. What I say, Blues Brothers is the same as Ghostbusters. I can't remember the last time I saw Blues Brothers. I'm going to have to revisit it. It's just prevalent in a lot of what Aykroyd is. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying this is an entirely bad thing. I'm saying this is a byproduct of the mid-'80s. In Ghostbusters Afterlife, Aykroyd even makes reference to the Reagan era. Busting Ghosts was a gas, Reagan era, all that stuff, He acknowledges what's going on in it. A few more minutes here. We got a big super chat I want to get to. This is from our good friend, Laserbolt. Oh, where'd it go? Sorry. There it went. Hey, Laserbolt. I'll never do that again on the show. Got about 10 minutes left in the stream. Sorry. Got about 10 minutes left in the broadcast. I recently started playing Catan, formerly known as Settlers of Catan. Question, what's the best opening move? I've never played this game. I know a lot of people that do. Sorry, Alan Smithy. I have to sometimes chat catches up to the broadcast. Alan Smithy says, "Wait, is that why they fight ghosts with ray guns?" I mean, maybe. It's definitely why Newt Gunray is a villain, right? What's the best opening move? I haven't played it. I have not played it. But again, I used to, especially about 10 years ago, I had a friend and her now ex-husband, and she's also an ex-friend. She would say, "Hey, we're playing Friday night. We're playing Settlers of Catan. Do you want to come over?" And I didn't know they changed the name Laserbolt, but I'm gonna guess the push for a deeper understanding of the problems of colonization has caused the game Settlers of Catan to just be called Catan. And I don't disagree with that, but I've got to guess that's what it is. What's the best opening move? I don't know. There's moves. I've never played this game. I've been around it. I've seen the board set up on a table. You tell me. What move do you make, Laserbolt? How does that work? Do you roll die? Cast a die? Hit a little bubble? Like boop, 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 like you're playing an old style game there from Milton Bradley? I know there's the board. Do you land? Do you land on Plymouth Rock, or does Plymouth Rock land on you? What is this game about, Laserbolt? And how do you move around? Laserbolt says, just give me 3 numbers from 2 to 12. 3, 8, and 10. 3, 8, and 10. 3, 8, and 10. 3 and 8 and 10. Let me know what that does. Okay, so Dylan Barry, who's played this game, says 8 is great, 10 is sneaky good, 3 isn't great, to be honest. 3, 8, and 10 got it. Look out, Catan. All right, so what do you, is this you, does this correspond to something? I need to know. I don't know how to play this game. Laserbolt, I feel as though I should give you some money back in your super chat because I can't help you. I'll go look up the rules of Catan and we'll figure this out together. It's like dice odds. Dice odds. Dylan Barry says dice odds. Laserbolt says dice odds. Okay. Well, those are my numbers. 3, 8, and 10. All right. Jake says, rest in peace, Taco. And I don't understand the reference. Oh, no. Are you thinking what I think? I don't go on social media much. And I have a lot of people muted. Is that what you, damn it. All right. I'll check on that. God bless it. You confirmed it. Yeah, Lon's dog. God bless. When did that happen, Jake? I don't see a lot of Lon's posts anymore. That's too bad. Never met Taco, but great little dog. Happened today. All right. I tweeted it today. I'll look that up. That's always horrible, man. Always horrible. And Lon's such a good dude, too. Lon deserves a lot of things, including a good canine friend, which I'm sure one day when the time is right, he'll find another. But rest in peace to Taco, indeed. One of the most celebrated dogs in our digital media community. We're almost done here on the stream as we look to the end here because I got to go do some work. I got to go have an actual dinner. I got to watch some highlights of the State of the Union. I got to load this up as a podcast. You can still listen to it as a podcast. I think we did get a comment about that from Force Ghost Conversations. Scrolling up. I missed it. I forgot to favorite it. Apologize. Yeah, I missed it. I missed it. Dylan asks, what's your game in Vegas? Video blackjack. Lord of the Rings slots. Lord of the Rings slots and Game of Thrones slots. But I don't like the new Lord of the Rings slots and the new Game of Thrones slots. They updated them. I like the first versions that were around. It's hard to find them. They're pretty much all gone. It's video blackjack. But I don't do live dealers. I'm intimidated by live dealers. And I know you don't win with slot machines. No one needs to tell me that. I know you do not win over time with slot machines. But every once in a while, you get a win. And the worst thing that ever happened to me was years ago, was over there at the Aria, I think. I think it was the Aria, or around that city center. I won $440 in one pop on Wheel of Fortune slots. When you do that, man, the false hope. I don't play the lottery a lot, but every once in a while, if I'm feeling itchy, I'll get a Mega Millions or a Powerball. And I've never won, right? Last week, I won $10. Nothing worse than winning. It's either got to be the jackpot or nothing, because eventually I'll stop wasting the money. And like I said, I don't do it a lot. Definitely don't do it a lot. But every now and then, there you go. Alan Smithy, now I think I owe you $5 because you accidentally put at least two super chats are showing up there. So thanks for the show today. I had a lot of fun. This is what we do. We try to do it every Wednesday. Though, you know what? As I'm thinking, I think next Wednesday, Force Center is going to be on Star Wars Explains, Clone Zone show, talking about Bad Batch. So how about we do this again next Thursday, huh? How about we do this again next Thursday? But now I want to go back to Vegas. Mark Ellis is in Vegas. He's having a good time. Thank you all. Oh, final question. Oh, yeah, big question. Tuesday nights. I can't do Tuesday nights, Jared. Tough night for me to around the house. I got some work to do. Oh, garlic. No, your question. Where was your question? There's the question. Cheese sticks or breadsticks? Breadsticks. I like a good cheese stick. I like a good cheese stick. But I do. Anytime you got a breadstick in front of me, I'm going to stick that long, firm, tasty thing in my mouth. Stand by what I said. Stand by what I said. You guys are the best. As I said at the top of the show, if you just joined or you joined late and you didn't hear, thanks. Inspired by a comment on last week's episode, Michael, you're the best. This is really an AM radio talk show. And in that vein, I'm going to work to get phone calls in from you out there, but we'll take them from Patreon supporters at patreon.com/Napzok or channel members here. Become a channel member here. You get to watch 20 minutes of coffee live when it's broadcast. And then you'll get to call in. We'll take some calls. All right? And we're going to give you some call etiquette here. You don't linger. You have a question. Joke, banner, be nice. Don't whip your wing out, even if it's on an audio call. And, let other people in. Don't hog, all right? It means a lot that you're all here. Don't forget to like if you're watching on YouTube. Steve's got it. First time, long time. I'll hang up and listen. Steve's called in as some sports talk. And Troy says, Bubba, Booey, Bubba. I'll allow that. I'll allow that now. All right, are you talking to Cal now? I took a Cal call. Scuba Boosters here on Twitch, always here for the food talk. You got it. I took a call. We took a call from Cal on the old schmoes when the Collider shows. I remember it's the first time Cal and I talked, and he said he was from Kingsport, Tennessee, where I spent a lot of time in the neck of the woods. All right, Kingsport House says, can't be here next week. Maybe I'll get lucky one day. Don't worry. Don't worry. Krusty the Clown wisdom. Don't whip it out. Indeed. All right, my friends. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.